Hey guys, Chung here from WGC, and we're here with Dave from Hawk Wargames. I always get that messed up. How you doing?
That's all right. I'm good, thanks.
Great. Sorry about it. His voice is a little off.
It's day 4 of GenCon, so I've been doing a lot of talking, so my voice is going, but I'll do my best.
All right, no problem. It's all good. So tell us a little about Drop Zone Commander. That's your game, right?
Yeah. Drop Zone Commander's 10mm scale mass battle sci-fi game. It's very tactical, very strategic. A lot of the time you start with a completely empty board and fly your entire army onto the battlefield by dropship, which is one of the big focuses of the game. It's very mobility focused. A lot of the time you end up flying your whole force around, you pick stuff up, move them by dropship, extract objectives off the board by air. There are fighters, bombers, gunships, tanks, infantry. All the scenery is destructible, so you can blow up buildings in Drop Zone as well.
Nice. So I heard it's a really fast-paced game.
It is, yeah. It's very fast-paced, quite easy to pick up. Doesn't rely overly on tables and reference and all that kind of thing. It's quite fast-flowing. An average. It's designed for tournament-length games, really. So a good 1,500-point game will take about an hour and a half with 2 players who know what they're doing. So it's designed for the tournament scene. It's not quite as hyper-competitive as some games, but it's perhaps more screwed down than say 40k. It's a bit more sorted out as a rule set in terms of there's a bit less arguments going on, but it sits in the middle of say perhaps that and War Machine, because War Machine's very, very competitive, so it's kind of in between. You can play relaxed if you want.
So less arguing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's part of the fun with War Games. We can all do it. We still do it anyway with Drop Zone. you get arguments. You always get arguments with games. It's just part of the fun.
Now, one of the really interesting stories I've heard is you locked yourself away for a few years to do this game, right? Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, I did. I used to work for Spartan Games for a while. I did all the original ships for Uncharted Seas and some of the Firestorm stuff in the early days. So I did that. I really enjoyed that. I wanted to do a game that was my own. So I left Spartan. And then I didn't know it was going to be 3 years at the start, but these things always take time, and it became like a real labour of love. And I spent 3 years full time working on the game. I didn't have a job at the time. I was just sponging off my parents, to be fair. With no income for 3 years working on, because I designed all the models, painted all the studio models, wrote the rules, wrote the background, did most of the graphics, did all the photography, all the image editing. So it's a lot of work.
The credits in the book is just your name, right?
Mostly, yeah. Louis, one of our other team members, he actually put the book together. He joined us right near release time. So I was working on it on my own, up until a couple of weeks before actual release and print run, because he's a lot better than me at assembling print work. So he got involved there, and he's been with us ever since.
Okay.
So it was not just me on the book. There's guest painters' work in the back of the book that's not my work. But yeah, the vast bulk of the content is my work.
Nice. Now, where's the state of things for Drop Zone Commander? I noticed that you've released a few new stuff. Why don't you tell us about that?
We have, yeah. We've been launching some new units lately for the existing races, but the big news really is our new 2-player plastic starter box. And we announced that at the start of GenCon, so that's brand new. So this is the 2-player starter set. In here you get absolutely everything you need to play Drop Zone Commander except for glue and paints. You get 2 starter factions. That's about a 600-point army or so. That'll give you a good hour-long game at least, especially when you're learning. It always takes longer when you're learning. So it's you can play nearly all the scenarios in the book with just that. So it's got a lot of replay value for a starter set. So you get those 2. You get a whole 4x3 table, which is done with these 10 buildings, which are card, pre-cut, pre-folded. So you just have to unfold them and stick the roof down, and then you're good. You've also got two A1 posters which make up the battlefield. That's got roads on one side and it's got the box art on the other. Nice. So you can use them as either if you want. It's got fast play sheets. It's got the full 1.1 rulebook. We've just updated to 1.1 now. That's got all the erratas, and we made a few rules tweaks. We listen to people on the forum, and we look at army lists, and if there are certain things that people aren't fielding, then we'll change the points to make them worthwhile, because we want every unit, new or old, to be worthwhile. Everything needs to be a difficult choice. Do I take these? Do I take these? It's what we want from the game. But you also get a full set of templates, tokens, you get dice, and you get an actual measuring tape as well. So literally everything you need. And even if you've never played a war game before, this would make a really nice entry into wargaming, let alone Drop Zone Commander. So
which two factions come with the starter set?
You get the Scourge, gribbly alien bad guys, very fast, very aggressive.
And how many factions are in Drop Zone Commander?
There are 4 factions.
4 factions.
The other faction in here is the UCM, United Colonies of Mankind.
Okay.
They're standard humans. They have efficient units for points. They usually do one thing and one thing very well and cost less points because of it. They've got good air power, good armour, moderate speed. They're basically all-rounders with a few strengths. Like their fighters are quite good, for example. So that's the starter box. The difference between this and the rest of the range is how the price point is just $95 for the entire starter set.
Now, is that in pounds or USD?
That's dollars.
Okay.
$95, £60 sterling. The difference between this and the rest of the range is these are injection molded plastic on sprues. These are just as detailed as the resin. You don't lose anything on the detail. Yeah, actually, in a few cases, we've made a few changes. So the new Condor actually has a pilot and a clear canopy in the new Condor, and a posable gun turret as well. It's a very small part, but we could do it, so we did.
Yeah, that's not
A few things like that. So they're very detailed for plastics. They're about the most detailed plastics on the market, really.
yeah.
So you get 3 of these Scourge sprues, 3 UCM sprues, which is slightly larger because there are more parts. And you get plastic bases, plastic flying bases. You get the little widgets so you can detach the drop ships from the bases when you're done, so you don't have broken flying bases. So yeah, and there's the rulebook as well. So just to give you a flick through the rulebook.
All right.
So it's over 150 pages, full colour all the way through. Lots of nice full-page images, plenty of diagrams to help explain the rules. You've got scenarios here, 12 scenarios, variants, full-page imagery. Army lists for all 4 factions, not just the 2 that you get in the starter box.
Right.
You've also got the PHR in here, Post-Human Republic, and you've got the Shoutari as well. So everything you need at all, and you've got the different colour scheme suggestions in there. You've got the guest painters page, show what other people have done with the miniatures. A copy of the tokens if you need them. You get pop-out ones in the starter set, but this is just if you lose them or whatever, you've got them in the back. Nice. So there you go, that gives you an idea of the new starter set. That's out on September the 28th is the launch day for that.
For the starter set.
Yeah, it's the store day, yeah.
And I also heard that there's a new faction coming out?
Yeah, there is. There's the Resistance.
Okay.
The Resistance are the human Resistance who are left on Scourge-occupied planets. Okay. So in the background, the Scourge have taken Earth, and they've taken all of humanity's best planets.
Okay.
But 200 years later, the UCM have started a massive invasion to recapture those planets. But the Resistance are the remnants of human civilization that's left on those planets. So they have to use a lot of improvised weapons, a lot of home manufactured stuff. So they're tough people because they've been under 200 years of hell. So they've got a lot of skill, but they've got very poor quality equipment for the most part. They have some ex-military stuff, some drop ships, but not as many as the other races. They're more of a hold army. So on here you've got these little trucks.
Yeah.
These are the heavy technicals. So this is like ex-civilian vehicles that have had armour plating bolted on, rocket pods attached to the back. Some of them have got flamethrowers, some of them with anti-air guns bolted on the back. A lot of what's going on right now in the Middle East, actually. We looked at that for a lot of inspiration to see how people improvise weapons, in this kind of situation.
Okay.
I've gone down to extreme detail on these, so. And underneath you've got all the drive shafts and differentials and everything. I went really in depth on my research because it's near future. It's not far future. So plausible that the tech for basic civilian vehicles hasn't really changed a huge amount in terms of basic mechanics. A vehicle is quite a simple machine after all, and it's probably no need to make it any more complex than it is today. So. That's our reasoning behind that.
Nice.
They're all very Art Deco style because that's part of Drop Zone and part of the human aesthetic is Art Deco, like the architecture. You got the small ones as well, like little pickup trucks. With cool. Guys with RPGs on the back, screaming their defiance to their enemies. Again, bolted on armour plating, full detail on the underside. That's crazy detail,
guys. I'm looking at this. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera. But yeah, that's some crazy details on the bottom.
It's about as detailed as miniatures can get, I think, to be honest. I mean, if you went any further than this, then one layer of paint and you're going to lose detail. So
At this scale especially.
it's designed to be the maximum level of detail, but you needn't be scared of it for painting because you can just use inks and dry brushing. The more detail there is, the easier it is to ink and dry brush because it will just show up all that detail without much effort. So it's quite nice.
Well, thanks a lot, Dave.
Thanks very much.
Again, this is Hawk Wargames, and you guys could find them at your website.
Yes, www.hawkwargames.com. Just Google Hawk Wargames or Drop Zone Commander and you'll find us that way as well.
There you go, or you could talk about it in our forums in WGC.
Good, thank you.